Freya, Megan, Daisy, Millie, Abigail, Scarlet, Layla,
What's in a
Alice,
name?
Zoe,
How did you get your name?
Ruby,
I can tell you how I got my name. I was named after one of my grandfathers.
Eva,
How did the popular fast food restaurant Wendy's get its name?
Amy,
Well, it's the name of the founder's daughter, Dave Thomas. How did Walmart get its name? It's a combination of the surname of the founder, Sam Walton, and its purpose, a supermarket. I want to talk about names because this is episode 0 of my podcast, and I figured this is a good time to explain what my podcast is about through explaining its name and the tagline. My podcast is called The Why Behind Your Z's, and the tagline is the show that helps you maximize your sleep one night at a time. Let me explain all of that to you in this episode. Welcome to the Why Behind Your Z's podcast, the show that helps you maximize your sleep one night at a time. Brought to you by sleepyoudeserve.com. Hello, and thank you for listening to my show, The Why Behind Your Z's, the podcast that helps you maximize your sleep one night at a time. I am the host, Paul Bright. I am a certified sleep science coach. I'm also a United States military veteran. Incidentally, the military is where my sleep issues began, and they continued almost a decade after I separated from the military service. It took me about that long to figure out what was going on, and lots of trial and error to make the corrections I needed to make in my life to get my sleep right. And then I found out, oh, you can get certified in this, which I thought was really cool because I'm already somebody who's had a lot of education and I'm always pursuing some other level of knowledge. And once I became a certified sleep science coach, I understood the why behind the things that were working for me. And oh man, if I only knew then what I knew now, it wouldn't have taken me nearly 10 years to overcome sleep paralysis, sleep anxiety, insomnia, all of the things attached with that, panic attacks in the middle of the night. It probably would have taken me, after I developed my coaching system, maybe a handful of months. And I'll trade a handful of months over almost a decade. So let's break down the name of my show. Let's start with the why. WHY, why? That was the biggest challenge for me trying to help recover from all my sleep issues was I didn't understand why things were working and why certain things weren't working. It took a lot of reading, a lot of research. I just happened to have access to some really good journals and tips and tricks from legit sleep doctors and hygiene specialists, and was able to formulate my own plan. And then, when I got certified, I started to understand more of the why behind what worked. And that's what I want to bring to you in every episode. Not just throw a bunch of tips and tricks out there for you, but explain the why behind them so that it's easier for you to see how something could work for you or may not work for you. The behind your Z's part of my show's name references something from American colloquial history. You see, Americans, we like to have comic strips in our newspapers back in the day. And our comic strips would have speech bubbles, would illustrate what all the characters were doing. And if a character was sleeping, the only way we could indicate that was to write the letter Z over and over and over again in a speech bubble so that you would know the character wasn't dead. They were sleeping, because sometimes when you sleep and you snore, it sounds like this. Zzz. So the why behind your Z's, when you put that together, is I'm going to help explain the why behind anything that has to do with your sleep. The why behind why some things will work for you, The why behind why some things may not work for you. The why behind the reasons you sleep the way you do. The why behind your Z's. Now let's break down the tagline. The show that helps you maximize your sleep. Notice I didn't say the show that will cure your sleep issues. The show that will knock you out. The show that guarantees you're going to sleep the way you want to overnight. I'm not going to do all those things. The reason why I can't do all those things is because, number one, I'm not working with you one-on-one, so I couldn't tell you that this is absolutely going to do it for you in this episode. What I can tell you is everything I'm going to present to you is going to help you maximize your sleep. And I use the word maximize on purpose. You see, some people sleep 4 hours a night and wish they could get 5. They know they would feel better if they could sleep 5. Some people sleep 7 hours a night and wish they could get to 8 hours a night. Some people only sleep 3 hours a night, like a client I had, and really wish they could push it to 4. People tend to know what it is that they need. It's not the same for everybody. 6 to 8 hours, yes, that's a nice magic window. If we all would aim for 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, restorative sleep, we would be doing all right. But some people would just be happy to get to 4. And the things you're going to hear from me, the way I present this information, the way I explain the strategy behind what I do as a sleep coach, using a very holistic approach, will help you maximize your sleep. One night at a time. Again, I can't promise you that listening to one episode is going to shoot you from 2 hours to 7 hours of sleep a night. It's not going to happen that way. Or even from 4 to 5 overnight. What it's going to take is you examining these strategies, listening to my interviews with other experts that are either in the sleep field or something related, listening to them, taking to heart what it is that they have to say, taking to heart what I have to say, putting it into practice over and over and over again until you figure out the rhythm that works for you. And that will help you get to the sleep that you deserve. It's going to take more than one night. It might take 2, it might take 30, it might take 60. But 60 nights, if you compare that to if you've been suffering from insomnia for years or decades in some cases, what is 60 nights? What if that meant that your sleep was going to get better 2 minutes a night from the things that you listen to? On average, 2 minutes a night. It may get better for 30 minutes one night and then maybe only 20 minutes another because of this thing interrupting your patterns or that thing interrupting your patterns. But over time, if you build 2 minutes a night better sleep than you had the night before, it would only take you a month to add an hour to your sleep. And an hour is a lot to a lot of people, trust me. How many times have you ever hit a snooze button and just wished, oh, if I could sleep just one more hour, I'd be okay. I know some of you listening to this right now wish you could. So 1 hour in a month, 2 hours in 2 months. I think that's some really good progress. In fact, I did have a client who progressed in her sleep from 3 hours to 5 hours after only sleeping 3 hours a night for 8 years straight. She progressed from 3 hours to 5 hours. I'll just call her Maria. And it took us some work. It took her some commitment. And she had goals and wasn't meeting her goals. But when I explained to her that her goals were actually coming very far in a very short amount of time, she was happy with that and was able to keep on rolling and went from 3 hours to 5 hours. And then 2 weeks after that was at 6 hours a night of sleep and thought, well, shoot, I got to 6. Maybe I can get to 7. And got to 7 hours of sleep a night. And now she sleeps somewhere between 7 and 8 hours a night. After 8 years of only sleeping 3 hours a night, she's up to 7 hours a night. It only took her a couple of months and she's been there for more than a year now. so it can happen for you. One night at a time. The Why Behind Your Z's. The show that helps you maximize your sleep one night at a time. That's what I want for you. I want all of my listeners to get the sleep that they deserve. I want you to get the sleep that you deserve. And this show is going to help you do that. In the next few episodes, I'm going to start breaking down things that you need to know before you start really improving your sleep. Like, what are 2 of the most overlooked facts about sleep that if you understood them and made them fundamental to your thinking, you would start seeing sleep differently. And maybe your approach would be different and you'll start to improve your sleep. And then I'm going to start breaking down my system for you. Every area in your life where you can look to see not just what a challenge is, but what your strengths are. That's what I'm going to bring to you with my show. Because after all, what's in a name? A lot in this name. The why behind your Z's. The understanding behind your sleep. The show that will help you maximize, bring you to your best that you can do for you. Maximize your sleep. One night at a time. Progressively, because we all know that when you make progressive improvements, they last a lot longer. Thank you for listening. Here's to getting the sleep that you deserve. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Why Behind Your Z's. For more information and additional advice on how to help you get the sleep that you deserve, check the show notes for our email subscriber list. You can also visit our website, sleepyoudeserve.com.